bookworms! Today I'm here with Cassie and Melissa for our next Finds with Wines. Today we are discussing An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. So why don't you guys say hi and tell us what you're drinking?
Hi, I'm Melissa, and I'm drinking Barefoot Pinot Grigio because it was the only one at the gas station. And
Why?
secondly, I think the whole barefoot thing kind of ties in with part of the story when she's running away barefoot as a slave. So just between that and a pink one, and I feel like that was more cool.
Cool.
I'm Cassie, and today I'm drinking, well, started already, this lovely Moscato called Rex Goliath, and I don't know why everything's showing up backwards on my camera. Whatever, okay. So I picked this one because, I don't know, I thought Rex Goliath sounded like a martial name, so there we go.
Good reason. I am drinking this wine. It's Prophecy.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Themed.
I thought it was pretty, and it's themed because the augurs can kind of see into the future and they know what's going to happen, and I feel like there's lots going on with our main character in this book. So
I love the artwork on that.
Me too. It's so pretty. They had like a couple of different ones, but this one was the prettiest, so that was why I chose it. So Cassie, do you want to tell us what An Ember in the Ashes is all about?
Of course. Apologies in advance for ruining everything. Okay, so it's a young adult, first in a trilogy that's set in this kind of Roman-inspired world. So you have this race of people called the Scholars who have basically been enslaved by this other race of people called the Marshals, right? Yes. So on the Marshal side, we have Elias, who is basically going to this murder school and being trained to be a mask, which is basically this sort of trained, specialized killer for the Emperor. And then on the other side, we have a scholar named Leia? Leia? Whatever. And so she is basically, her brother is taken by the government, so she joins up with the resistance to try to help free him, and she ends up undercover at the same school where Elias is, and it just goes from there. Yeah, I think that's the general gist. Both of them don't currently like the world they're living in, and they both feel kind of trapped, and obviously they'll come together at some point and probably fall in love because this is young adult.
That's fair. Okay, so first I want to talk about the world building because I felt like this was amazing. So, like you said, it's kind of based on Athens and Sparta, but how well do you think Sabaa Tahir did in describing the society that they're living in? And did you also see or like feel any other pop culture similarities when you started reading An Ember in the Ashes?
I thought it was really unique. Like I haven't really read anything like that, maybe ever, that wasn't some kind of history book. I thought the world building was probably the best part of the entire book. She did a really good job with the details and explaining, you know, like the marshals and the slaves and the scholars. I could see the world in my head very easily, pretty much from the get-go. So I think she did a really good job. And I'm not super familiar with, you know, like I just know bare bones when it comes to Rome and Athens and all that. So to me, I was like, yeah, this sounds similar. Sure, this works. So that's my 2 cents.
I was actually, when I heard that it was based on that, I was kind of scared, and that's actually, I think, why it took me so long to read this book, because I wasn't sure how I would like something in such a violent world. But I ended up actually loving it. The world building was fantastic. I think I'm on the same page as Melissa. Not too up on my ancient cultures. Sex with little boys, that's about all I got. Fed Christians to lions, I got that. So I can't speak to that. Yeah. I don't, pop culture things it reminded me of. I don't think I have anything, unless Kristen has some great insight. Maybe that'll jog my memory.
I do. So I also thought that she did a phenomenal job with world building. I thought it was really amazing, and it sounded like a little bit familiar to me as I was starting it, but it wasn't until yesterday that I was at the Harry Potter. Well, I had like a whole Harry Potter day with my friends Kelly and Jill, and obviously Andrew. And Jill said that she was reading the book along with us this month because she wanted to watch our live show and stuff. So we were talking about it, and then she said something, and I was like, oh my God, you're totally right. Like, it didn't even occur to me until she said it, but it is very Star Wars. Like, we're on a desert planet, and there's the Resistance, and it, like, it just, and, like, the Empire, and, like, the whole thing. And I was like, oh my God, like, how did I not think of that immediately, too?
And the main character's name?
Yeah, and Leia, like, yeah, I was just like, wow, you're completely right.
Did you do any research to see if, like, Sabaa Tahir, like, was inspired by that or anything?
No, I didn't. All that I've seen of her inspiration is that she said Athens and Sparta was what she was about. But yeah, I thought there were like a ton of parallels to Star Wars after that.
Yeah, I could see that.
So the story jumps back and forth between Leia and Elias's perspectives, which I felt like gave us a good sense of how life is for both the soldiers and the scholars. But what was your, like, did you have a favorite perspective between the two of them, and did you like that it was constantly swapping, or would you prefer to have like one narrator?
I usually have a hard time with a bunch of different swapping. Like, it's really hard for me to connect to just one character that way. But I actually didn't mind it in this book, and I liked the different perspectives just because they came from, you know, such different places. I would probably say I was leaning a little more towards Leia, just because I really liked the commandant, and I wanted to see more of that, like, interaction behind the scenes. And it felt a little different. Like, I feel like I've seen Elias's point of view, like, a lot.
I think I liked Elias's perspective better for some, I don't know, just getting a glimpse into that horrible world. And I think the trials were really exciting from his perspective. I actually, also liked every other chapter, except sometimes it would leave you on a horrible cliffhanger, and it would be like, oh, now let's go see what Leia's doing. And you're like, but I know. So, like, that was a little frustrating, but I was never upset when we had to switch narratives, except for when I was waiting to find out something really important.
Yeah. I agree. I really liked seeing both of them. I felt like they were both like very well-developed characters, and they both had a very interesting story, and neither of them seemed like they were there to kind of further the other one. So I liked the swapping. And yeah, the same thing, the cliffhangers were really frustrating, but sometimes, like, especially toward the end of the book, when there was like that one major cliffhanger when Elias was supposed to be getting executed, and then the chapter ended, and I was like, oh my God. And then I went to Leia, and I was like, well, you know what, this is okay. Like, I'm definitely going to find out what happened in her chapter, because their stories are intertwined at this point. So
Torture.
I felt like it made the reading go quicker, though, because you were like, well, now I want to find out what happens next. So I have to read that chapter to get there, and then this next chapter to get, the resolution on that.
Yeah. I actually read part of the book on Kindle and part of it, like, in the physical book. And while I was reading the physical book, I realized that in the Kindle version they didn't have, like, they didn't divide it into sections. And I was like, oh, I feel like I wish I would have, like, seen this earlier. So then I, like, went back and was like, now I just want to know what the titles of each of the sections are.
That's weird. They wouldn't make it the same.
Yeah, because they're usually pretty much the same, but I don't know. It was strange.
Boo on you, Kindle version.
Yeah. So, okay. The opening scene is where we see Leia's brother Darren get kidnapped by one of the masks, and she's able to escape, but her guilt from that scene is kind of like a driving force in her attempts to save him afterward. How do you think that encounter helped set up the story?
I mean, I think it did. It was obviously, the catalyst for deciding to go and, be a slave and, you know, serve the commandment. I get the guilt thing, but after a while, I felt a little dramatic. Like, you know, there probably should have been like a stronger driving force, but I like that it was a good catalyst for setting it up.
Yeah. I also appreciated that. Sorry, I like completely lost my train of thought. I also appreciated like her complete like arc from like that moment all the way to the end. I thought was very kind of perfect the way she just got stronger and stronger throughout the book, which obviously would not have happened if she didn't have to go rescue her brother from certain death. So I did appreciate that.
Yeah, I liked that that she had that and like she had his voice in her head motivating her, and then like toward the end she was like, oh my god, like it's not his voice, it's actually my voice this whole time. So I thought that that was a really good way, because sometimes like people just need kind of a push, and so it wasn't necessarily that she was this weak character, because she like voluntarily went through so much
Yeah.
to save him. But yeah, I thought that was a really smart way to set it up, also because then not only like are we getting to know her character, but it also showed us the side of the Empire, and like how horrifying it can be right off the bat. You like gotta feel for this is bad situation that's going on. So what do you think? You guys keep saying Elias, but I've always called him Elias. I don't know.
Elias.
Say him.
I don't even know.
Why do you think he's different than other soldiers? Do you think like do you think that any of the other soldiers also see fault in the Martial Empire, but they're too afraid to speak out, or do you think that he is the only one that is like a little bit different?
Definitely not. I mean, we kind of got inklings before about how other people have spoke out, and I think it was more like some of his other peers, they had like brothers or people that could really be hurt, and I feel like Elias kind of, you know, being the commandant's son, like, yes, she's like extremely hard on him, but because of that, maybe he feels like he has this privilege to think outside the box.
Yeah, I think also it helped his like upbringing. I don't know if they bring kids in from right. He was just a special case because he was adopted, so like he had this completely different perspective from all the other characters that was really interesting. But I also think it helped that his mother was just this. In addition to being this horrible person, was also his mother who he like hated for abandoning him and being like this cold creature. So I think that helped him to be like, nah, this life is not for me. But yeah, I agree that other people definitely, when there was that scene with they killed that little boy to death, and you could sense the disgust in all the other people, even if they were afraid to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was really sad. I thought that because he did like kind of have a taste of how life could be outside, that he was definitely more apt to have like rebellious tendencies, because I feel like there were a lot of people that grew up as like being a soldier, so they didn't necessarily know any other life. Like his best friend Helene was a really good example of how she was like loyal to a fault, because that was really all that she knew. And it was like she was like, why would we question anything? Like we're the lucky ones, we're about to be free and everything. And so it just made me like wonder if there were other people that thought that things should be different. I don't know. I feel like that was like an open-ended answer, but whatever.
Hey, we can answer these questions however we want.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, just making me think about it. But so speaking of Elias's mom, the commandant, what are your feelings on her? And do you think that her ways of like ruling people are effective? And also, can you just believe that such a monster birthed him?
I think she's wretched, and so far I've seen no redeeming qualities. I'm sure there's got to be something somewhere at one point. There was a point where I think I did feel sorry for her when she was like knocked up, and like her dad liked Elias more than he liked her. But I mean, doesn't it excuse her terrible behavior? And I can't quite believe that she gave birth to Elias. Yeah, I just think she's pretty horrible, but I know we're supposed to hate her. But I feel like she's not going to be the big bad towards the end.
If you've been watching Spines with Wines at all, you will not be surprised, but I thought she was great. She was so evil, which I love. I love like a nice evil woman. I also think it really speaks to that nature versus nurture thing, that she, such a horrible, cold monster, could give birth to like this great guy who like cares about everyone. So obviously he probably would not have ended up like that if she had kept him and raised him in her world, but because he was abandoned, kind of, you know, I think he get this whole different life. But I think the moment you're talking about is that like end arc when she like kind of is like, I was gonna leave you to die, but then I felt bad and gave you to another family so you could have a life. So I think that part was meant to like kind of humanize her. I don't think it really worked because she's not a human, but I liked that little glimpse into her past.
Yeah. I figured that you would like her because I know that you're all about the villains. But I couldn't stand her. I thought that she was absolutely horrible. I thought the way that she treated slaves is terrible. And I also think that she's in way over her head with whatever she's doing with the Nightbringer. I thought that was really, really interesting, and I would have liked to see a lot more of that. But she just like, well, she made me so angry, and I would get so mad. And she also like just stressed me out so much, and I was so worried for Leia like the whole time. I kept being like, what if she finds out? Like, I don't understand how Leia is doing all of this stuff when everyone says that the commandant just like knows things.
Yeah, she got away with an awful lot in this book.
Yeah. It's so peaceful. Another like thing that I really enjoyed were the augurs. I thought that they were like probably some of the most fascinating characters in the book, even though they all kind of had the same exact personality. But when the augur King visits Elias, he kind of gives him like this cryptic message about how he shouldn't desert his post. So do you think that Elias made the right choice? And would you have done the same thing if you were in his position?
Probably. I'm having like a vague recollection about it, and
oh, I forgot it's been a while since you've read.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. Someone else answer this first, and I'll come back.
Okay. I mean, obviously, I think he made the right choice based on the way the story went, but I feel like if I were in that position, I'd be like, this guy's probably just telling me, you know, this so he gets me to do what he wants, and I think I probably would have left anyway. I don't know. I don't trust those guys.
I think it would have done the same because he was like, he said, like, you'll turn into more of a monster if you leave. And I definitely would have been like, well, that's impossible because here I'm a soldier that is killing people. So how could I possibly be worse if I leave?
Yeah, says who? Says you? Crazy guy who lives in a cave? I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember.
Obviously, it did play out in a good way, kind of. But, yeah, he just, like, his words and stuff are so twisted because, like, it's like everything that they say is a riddle, which I just found that so fascinating. Like, I really enjoyed any time that they were in a scene.
Yeah, but there's like, okay, so this is the frustrating part with them because it's like, why do you have to speak in riddles? Why? It's like, oh, why can't you just be upfront and honest with me?
Maybe there's just like so much going on in their heads that
Like,
can't.
It's like a Dr. Manhattan thing. It's like everything's happening simultaneously.
Yeah, exactly.
Here and then and there. Yeah, I probably would not. I would have just done my own thing and been like, no faith in what we make. Peace out. So.
Did it bother you guys that there was kind of like a love square in the story? And did you, like, which characters did you ship together, and did any of your ships change while you were reading?
I actually really liked Helene. I thought she was like one of the coolest characters in the whole story, to be honest. Like super strong and like badass and like really complex. You know, like she has this like duty she wants to serve, but she's like obviously in love with Elias. And I mean, I don't know. I think she was really cool. So I kind of shipped her and Elias a couple of times, even though like obviously we're supposed to love Elias and Leia. And I also really liked Keenan. I thought he was hot. So maybe Keenan and Helene can get together.
Why? Because they're left over, so now they have to date each other?
Yeah. Yeah, the square was a little much, but I guess it's better than a triangle.
Yeah, I appreciated that it was different, but it was very confusing because, like, I would expect Leia to have like two suitors, but then when Elias had Helene and Leia, I was like, well, now what's happening?
Yeah.
But I agree with Melissa. I also kind of shipped Helene and Elias together. Like, I don't know. I thought they were really cute, and I knew she was good all along, and that everything would work out.
Mm-hmm.
I was not concerned about her.
Yeah, I wanted Elias and Helene to be together, and for him and Leia to just be like BFFs and kind of change their whole world.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because normally like I don't like love triangles in stories, but I this one didn't bother me. Like it definitely was a lot because there was just like a lot going on. But I felt like it worked. Like it didn't distract from the story, and I felt like it was a lot of it was like very secondary, so it wasn't like the reason that I was reading or anything. I was more interested in like what personal choices each of them were gonna make.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel bad for Helene because I feel like she's just surrounded by like awful men, and now she's stuck with Marcus, and
Yeah.
I think it's fair for her. I think that she should get better. And then also like Kenan, that whole ending. What I'm really hoping is that I hope that he'll end up with Izzy.
Oh.
That would have a happy ending.
Oh yeah, that's right. Forgot about her.
Um, so who were your favorite characters in the story and why?
Um, Definitely Helene, like I said before. I think she's total badass while simultaneously being super complex. And I mean, I just feel like she was probably the most well-rounded and like interesting character in the whole book. I thought the commander was interesting just because she was like so evil and horrible. You're like something else must have happened that we don't know yet that made her this awful. And bad people are always really, really interesting, and they're just 100% bad. I liked Elias and Leia, definitely.
All
But
your
I think,
favorite?
what?
Pretty much everyone was your favorite.
Melissa loved every single character in this book.
I would say Helene is my favorite.
Yeah, I agree. She was my favorite too. I just really loved her. I like that she wasn't like all good and she wasn't all evil. She was painted in these really great like shades of gray, and I knew she would come through for me in the end, and I just really wanted her to get her kiss, and she didn't, and now I'm sad. But now I'm really excited to see where her story's going, because that should be interesting in book 2, assuming we get that perspective at all based on what where the story went.
Yeah. Helene was also my favorite. I think that she needed to stay there because I feel like they are gonna like change things, but they're gonna need someone on the inside to be able to help them. Even though she said that like now she's gonna be loyal to Marcus no matter what, I feel like she won't be able to because he's gonna be so immoral that she's just not gonna be able to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Helene was definitely my favorite, and then second favorite, I also really liked Izzy. I thought that she was like so nice, and I felt so sad for her that like she lost an eye for something that she didn't even do. Like she was just kind of in the wrong place, and like the whole, which is actually a question later, but one of my favorite scenes is the Moon Festival, and like just getting to see her excitement and everything, and like when she gets to be involved in some of the stuff that Leia's doing, like you can tell like she really doesn't care if it results in her dying or being tortured because she just wants to experience like some other life than what she's been given. And that was like so heartbreaking. She still had like so much spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked her a lot. So when Leia finds the resistance, she reveals her true origin and the identity of her mother. And she does that in order to get their help to try to save her brother. But do you think that that turned her too much into like a unique snowflake, or were you like okay with that?
I feel like it was necessary because it was pretty clear that she wasn't going to get any kind of help until she was like, hey, my parents freaking led you guys. You owe me one, you know? So I feel like it was necessary. And, you know, yes, it makes her like exceptional, but it was necessary.
I think the only I wasn't annoyed by it, but it was strange how everyone would be like looking at her funny, being like, this girl looks like someone important. Like that was kind of like a little ridiculous. Like how I don't think I've ever done that to any other human being, personally.
I thought it didn't bother me at all, and I thought that the way that it was done was really different than what we usually see, because usually it's like a person that thinks that they're normal that like finds out that they're special, and this was someone that knew that they were different and like tried not to have to say it, and that was kind of their last resort. So I enjoyed seeing it that way. She wasn't like, oh my god, really? Like my parents were the top people in the resistance. Wow, like I must be strong and cool too. Like she was like, you know, like I don't know. I just like I thought it was done well. um, so when Leia becomes the commandant's slave, she makes a lot of interesting acquaintances. Which ones are the most memorable to you, and why?
I'll go last on this question.
Okay. I also really liked Izzy. She was super cute. But I kind of also liked how mysterious Cook was. And
Okay.
Chris and I briefly texted about this, but
Yeah,
there's definitely more than meets the eye with her, and I was so angry that we didn't get to find out anything about her, and I have a feeling it'll come back, obviously, because why would you lay out all those breadcrumbs for no reason? But
yeah,
I'm curious to hear more about her.
me too. Like Cassie said, I had texted her because I was like getting toward the end of it, and I was like, oh my god, like I need to know more. And I was like, I feel like one of the best twists would be if Cook is actually Leia's mom, because right, they said that like her face was all like cut up, so obviously she doesn't look the way that she used to look, and she's also been like beaten down, being enslaved for years. So I could just see that like being the case.
That was awesome.
These like angry feelings toward the lioness too, and I feel like it could be because she's like, I used to be this person and now I'm not anymore, and like I didn't know things back then and whatever. So like I don't know. That's just really my hope. I'm really hoping that that's what is in book two.
It would also explain why she like. Sorry. It would also explain why she like worked so hard at the end to like help her out, because that seemed like kind of out of character for her.
Yeah.
Like, to like risk everything for that stunt. So that would explain that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be the coolest ever.
She was probably my most impressionable, and then second most was Marcus, because like I hated him, and he was just awful, and like because he's so awful, I would never be able to forget him.
Yeah, he was terrible. He's probably my least favorite person in the whole book. I don't understand. He was probably the real villain, if you think about it.
He was. I think he was the worst character in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And now that he has this power and this platform to rule on, I think that things are going to get crazy.
Yeah, they're going to get much worse.
So what were your feelings on the Resistance while you were reading, and did they change at all as the story progressed? And then also at the end, like, did you trust Keenan? Did you believe what he said to Leia, and do you think that his plan for her to escape would really work?
I trust Keenan to an extent, just because I trust his affection for Leia, and he seems like, you know, he possesses some moral fiber when it comes to that. But the Resistance, I was worried of initially, and then obviously I just kept getting more of a bad feeling as it progressed. Like there is no clear good side sometimes, and I just feel like the Resistance is not 100% great, which makes it more interesting. So I forgot the first one.
Yeah, I thought they were shady from the beginning. I don't know. I thought, yeah, I was very untrustworthy of the Resistance, especially because they were split into two factions, and they're all like they're not agreeing to help this girl, and it was just very sketchy, especially when they started revealing like some of the minor things, and then at the end when whatever their leader's name starts to monologue about how they basically used her and sent her off to die, I was like, yep, called it. You guys are jerks. But I do believe that Keenan really felt for her and wanted to help her escape. Like, I don't doubt that. But I also can't really trust him because he also kept a lot of things from her throughout the book.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust him. Like in the beginning, I was really excited for her to find the Resistance because I thought that this was going to be like the shining beacon of hope that was going to kind of help her get her brother and help her do everything. But then the minute that they were resisting helping her, I was like, okay, like they can't be that good of resistance if they're like not willing to help someone that is like one of their own. It just seemed like off to me that they would be fighting to rebel against this empire, but then not helping a civilian that needs help. Like it just rubbed me wrong. And then I wasn't surprised at all when they were like double crossing her, and especially with like lying to her about where her brother was, because he really didn't. He would just give like, oh, he's here, and not say any kind of information at all about like how they know or how he's doing or anything like that. So I thought that was sketchy. And then with Keenan, I'm really on the fence. I feel like I don't trust him. I don't know why. Like I know that it was written so that we should trust him at the end, but it was his job to kill her and get rid of her body. So I just kept thinking like, what if this escape plan was really just his way of being like, she'll never make this, and now I don't have to deal with it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like,
oh man, that'd be real dark.
I know.
That'd be a way to end a
I was just like,
triangle.
my mouth. I don't know. I was just like, I really just don't trust this guy because he's part of this, and I don't know.
Find out.
Yeah. Who are your?
The type that changes his affections once he finds out about Elias and Leia. Like,
Yeah.
it would make him like really bad, like one of those types. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We already talked about our favorite character, but who was your least favorite character?
Besides Marcus, because why would you say Marcus?
Yeah, he needs to die. Like immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, Marcus was my least favorite too. He was definitely like the clear villain.
Yeah.
And
what should have happened is Zach should have if Marcus was a good person, he would have had Zach kill him.
Yeah.
That tells me because he's older, and he should have been like, I'm going to make sure you live, little brother. Kill me.
Yeah.
That's how I know he wasn't a good person.
Yeah.
Well, among other things.
Many other things.
Well, many other things.
What was your favorite scene in the book, and which trial was your favorite?
I loved when they have that village party thing, that moon thing that they went to, the moon festival. That was fun. Everyone was like happy, and it just seemed good for like the first few minutes. Most favorite battle trial thing. I like the one where you first find out Helene sings.
Oh yeah.
I think that was cool.
Was the second one?
I think it was the second. Yeah.
With all the ifrits and wraiths and everything.
Yeah. That was like a really interesting twist. I was like, oh, this is cool. Yeah. Strange things.
It's really horrible, but I kind of like the third trial the best just because it was the darkest. Like, oh, kill all your friends.
Yeah, that was horrible.
I was like, the second they walked out, I was like, I know what's happening. I know what they're doing. It's going to be really horrible.
Yeah.
Nothing is really jumping out as like a favorite scene. So I'm going to skip that question.
I said it before, but my favorite scene was the Moon Festival. Just because I felt like that was fun, and I also liked that Elias and Leia got to interact without the like boundary of slave versus soldier. So I think that that did a lot for their relationship, and it was just nice to like be able to see these characters that are tortured have a little fun. Um, so I thought that was my favorite. And then for my favorite trial, I also liked the third trial the best. It was really stressful and it was really exciting despite it being horrible. And I just like was like, how is this gonna end? Like I was, oh my gosh. I felt like I needed a glass of wine after I read that chapter. But I was just like, what are they doing to these poor people?
It's good they gave Helene that elven armor to wear.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I didn't see that coming. Like, even though she got that, I didn't think about that at all.
Mm-mm. Nope, I forgot Frodo was wearing that and was like, ah, he's alive.
What was your least favorite scene?
Probably like the almost rape thing that happened.
Yeah, all of that.
It was
Every
like
time that happens.
that was really icky.
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely.
Yeah, basically anytime I feel like they brought up rape a few times, but anytime they brought up that, I was like, ugh, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. It's Rome.
Right.
It's a cruel, cruel place.
Yeah.
I don't want to read about that.
Me too. Which actually, I feel like she did a good job of establishing that it's something in the world, but none of those scenes were super graphic.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated because I feel like there are some other works where they go like really in depth, and I'm just like, this is not what I'm here for. So like, they were very uncomfortable, and I felt like it had a very strong effect without having to go like over the top.
Yeah.
What elements of the story do you think were like the biggest strengths?
Definitely the world building. Like I said, I could easily see everything from like pretty much the first page. And I really liked, some of the character development, especially Helene's. So those are my two top things.
Yeah, like every character was like fully fleshed out, which I really appreciated, and we kept getting little backstories into all of them, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah, and I thought the world building was very like subtly done. Like I never felt like all the information was being like jammed down my throat. I thought it was being presented nice and slowly.
Yeah, I thought that the biggest strength, in my opinion, was the pacing of the novel. I felt like it was always exciting. There was always something going on that was furthering the story. There wasn't anything that was just kind of like thrown in there for a higher word count. And it was all like everything was just important, and it kept interest from the first page when like that whole scene with Darren happened right until the last page. Like everything was very high stakes. I liked that. Was there anything at all that you disliked about the book?
I mean, if anything, I would say, like I said earlier, like probably the gratuitous, almost rape scenes. And like, I wasn't like the hugest fan of like the love square, but it was interesting that it wasn't just a triangle this time. So I wouldn't say I hated it. It was just a little annoying.
There was nothing that stuck out to me where I was like, ugh, like when I got to it or anything. So I'm gonna say no.
The only thing that I didn't like was that I wish that we had more answers. But more specifically, like I just want more information on this Nightbringer. Like I'm very fixated on it, but like that was fascinating, and it was like this very short little clip. And I was like, there's so much more to this character, and like you didn't really tell me anything about him. and they need to know like what is his motive and what's his end game.
Does he walk around like this?
Yeah.
I bet he does.
I feel like he floats.
Oh yeah, he like doesn't. That's why he's got to do this because he's floating. That's what you do when your feet don't touch the ground.
Yeah. So actually, A Number in the Ashes was originally pitched as a standalone, and that's how Penguin had marketed it when it came out. But now, as we know, the next book, A Torch Against the Night, is coming out on August 30th. So how happy are you on a scale from 1 to 10 that we are getting a sequel?
10.
Yeah, that's very exciting. If this was, I'm sorry, someone keeps texting me, and you can hear it like on my computer because God forbid a computer doesn't tell you you have text messages. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, I'm very excited for a sequel. I feel like I was telling Kristen that I didn't find it to be very cliffhangery. I could totally see if this was like a adult novel, like it just being a standalone as is, like based on what we read, because it kind of had like a ending-ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why.
But then, like, we
Yeah.
never get any kind of closure on whether Darren gets rescued by them or not. We just know that Elias is free,
Right.
and Leia's going to search for him, but, like, what next?
I mean, I'm sure he's fine. I could see like a book ending, like if they were like, I don't know if I want to write another one, so I'll keep it like kind of open-ended just in case I change my mind. But like everything in this book pointed towards that it's going to be 3 or more books, so I don't know why they marketed it like that.
Yeah, I thought that was very strange. I'm so happy that there's a sequel, and I actually have the second one, and I was dying to just start reading it when I finished Ember in the Ashes, but I made myself wait because I didn't want to like accidentally spoil anything in the book club. Like I got ahead.
Thank you.
So I was like, this is so hard. Now I kind of wish that I would have waited and finished A Number in the Ashes like yesterday so that I could start it today. Now, I'll start it tomorrow once I finished reading Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Do you guys have any predictions for A Torch Against the Night?
No. I mean, I feel like you said, like, maybe revealing the true identity of Cook, which would be really cool. And, like, her plans. I feel like we'll see more of who the real villain is, which I think maybe even the Augurs.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like...
Yeah. Ooh,
I
like
feel
they're
like-
playing everyone as pawns this whole time to get what they want. I could see that.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a cabin in the woods.
Exactly. So that would be fun.
And then everyone dies. The end.
I feel like we'll see some kind of love resolution play out. Like maybe Helene will be like kind of bitter, and then maybe Keenan will once he, he finds out the truth of Elias and Leia. 'Cause I'm sure they're gonna like to make out for them.
I think they're definitely going to break Darren out of jail because we talked about the whole first book, so it's definitely got to happen in book 2. And then I'm calling it now, end of book 2, somehow they get separated, our 2 main characters. Book 3 will be about that because
That always happens.
that always happens.
I definitely could see that too. I'm hoping the same thing. Like, I'm hoping that we're going to find out that Cook is Leia's mom or something. And I think that there's going to be some, like, pivotal, that's not a word. There's going to be some pivotal moment where Helene and Elias have to face off and, like, confront all of their unresolved issues. And then, yeah, I just need to know. I need to know what's going to happen. So what did you guys rate in Ember in the Ashes, and would you recommend it to other people?
I would say 4.5, but since Goodreads doesn't have half scale, so a 4.
I give 5. 5 full stars. I really enjoyed it. I could not stop reading it. I think I liked it extra because I thought I was not going to like it at all, and I ended up really loving it. I would definitely tell people to read this. That was a really good, especially for a debut author. It was really well written and it's really interesting.
And I think it's very accessible too.
Definitely.
I also gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I thought this was like an excellent read in some aspects. I think every novel has its flaws, but I felt like this was like very close to perfect in my opinion. And yeah, I would definitely tell anyone to read it. Okay, so for next book club, we are going with another backlist book, which is very exciting because it's one that I've been wanting to read since last year. And that is Six of Crows.
What is it backwards? I don't know. Why is the camera doing that?
It's forward on the screen. Oh yeah, actually mine looks backwards too.
Mine does too.
Wait, so it only looks backwards to me?
Yeah.
So my
looks backwards to me.
swak joke isn't gonna work?
No. Yeah, so this one, yeah, we're all like super excited to read this one. The second book, Crooked Kingdom, is coming out in September, so if you haven't yet read Six of Crows and you want to, this is a good month to read it, and then talk about it with us and drink wine if you're 21.
So sexy this book is.
Yeah. The pages for Crooked Kingdom are going to be red.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, actually, Melissa, I meant to tell you, I was at Barnes & Noble last night for the Harry Potter party, and they had a special edition of Valley of the Dolls with a black cover and pink pages, hot pink pages.
No.
Yeah, I took a photo of it to send to you, and I forgot to, but I'll send it to you soon.
Is it hardcover?
No, it's softcover.
That's okay.
But it's
Still, I love colored pages.
So anyway, that is our In Ember in the Ashes book club. We'd love to know what you guys thought about it if you read the book. If you're planning on reading the second book, let us know. And we will see you guys next month, and we will update you on when we're doing book club closer to when we have a date, because as you know, we just don't pick them in advance. That's not our style. So yeah, why don't you guys tell everyone where they can find you?
You can find me on Twitter and pretty much everywhere, Instagram, Tumblr, as Mecca Melissa.
You can find me also everywhere as Yerkmonger. That is YRCHMONGER. I am mostly on Twitter and Instagram and Goodreads, not in that order. And you can also find me talking about books on my book blog, bibliomantics.com.
Awesome. And I am Super Feastrick, and you can find me here on this channel, on my blog, on Twitter, Instagram, Goodreads, and I also just joined Snapchat last night because there was a Suicide Squad filter, and it was really cool.
I use it a lot.
That is the only reason that I joined.
For filters, yeah.
And it's fun. I like it now.
It's like a Harry Potter filter, just FYI.
I know. I saw it today. It was really interesting, though, because, like, I did not know how to use it at all, and everyone was trying to teach me last night, and I was like, I feel like I'm an old person. I don't get this.
We learned on Friday that if you take a screenshot of someone's Snapchat, they get an alert about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I do it on purpose. I'm like, I took a screenshot because that was a good pic. You know it.
Yeah.
Screenshot all those dick pics.
I'm like a folder now.
Anyway, on that note, we will see you guys next month. Happy reading.